Get ready for University of Georgia basketball.
I waited here for you for so very long. I waited here for you so long. I waited here for you,
Well, there are no words to describe what we just saw in Buffalo, New York. Georgia basketball gets embarrassed on a national television, on a national stage, against the St. Louis Billikens. That's what it was. Georgia just got completely embarrassed. And this Georgia basketball team is going to have a lot of soul searching to do in the offseason. Sorry, guys, we're watching the other team in the state. Kennesaw State, they're losing. They're probably going to lose, but completely embarrassing. Georgia gets embarrassed on national TV. Georgia didn't look like they deserved to be there. At one point, we were down 40. That's how bad it was. That's just as heartbreaking as it gets. That was pathetic. Georgia's going to have to do a lot of soul searching. I think getting beat by 30 plus in the NCAA tournament, I think that's a fireable offense, but maybe Georgia doesn't see it that way. That was fireable. It was 100% fireable. That was a disaster. The entire game was like that. St. Louis started off on 8-0 run, and then they didn't look back. That was just a absolutely pathetic basketball game. When the season turned to postseason, Ole Miss and St. Louis, Georgia just crapped down our pants, and it was embarrassing. We had a horrible first half against Ole Miss and tried to rally back at the end, and then versus St. Louis, we just looked terrible the whole game. And don't get me wrong, I'm super proud of the way this team played. 22 wins, historic season, I get it, but to crap down your leg this bad in the NCAA tournament in round one versus a team you should have beat, it's heartbreaking. This might be one of the most heartbreaking losses in Georgia basketball history. I mean, it's just heartbreaking. And credit to St. Louis because they played very, very good. They were a lot better than I thought they were, but St. Louis is very, very talented. They're going to give Michigan a run for their money. Georgia allowed 70-something points in the paint. It was the most ever in NCAA tournaments since 2015. Georgia couldn't shoot tonight. Georgia could do nothing tonight. This was a piss-poor effort by Georgia as Kennesaw State just got the rebound. The Owls can make that a one-possession game. Dang, Kennesaw. Cannon Catchings and Sopto scored 0 points. We're supposed to run our offense for Sopto. Where was he at? Jeremiah Wilkinson was the only player who showed up. They had 30 points. That's literally half your points. He had 30 points, and it was nowhere near enough. It was nowhere near enough. It was just a complete disaster class, and Mike White should be ashamed of himself that just happened. This entire university should be ashamed at what just happened because it is completely devastating. That was the worst that was the worst performance by a Power 5 team I've ever seen in the NCAA tournament. Just completely terrible. It was piss poor. That's what that was. That was piss poor. That Georgia lost that game that way. I mean, we're on national TV. There are people who have never watched Georgia basketball before, and that's the first week of the program they get. Georgia is going to have to do soul searching this offseason. Who's going to stay? Who's going to go? That was piss poor. I mean, it was terrible. It was a disaster from the get go. And 22 wins again, an amazing season. You beat Kentucky for the first time in Rupp Arena since 2009. You beat Alabama, you beat Arkansas, but it's not going to be remembered for that. It's going to be remembered for what just happened. It's devastating. Georgia's season's over. You know, I love listening to Scott Chuck. I love watching the games. I love making these videos. And all that's over now until November again, so it definitely hurts. That's one of the reasons it hurts more. But that was just a disaster class. You could have put a Pee Wee basketball team would have played better than Georgia did tonight. Kennesaw State's playing better than Georgia did, and Kennesaw State, the budget between Georgia and Kennesaw State is multiple tens of $1 million, and they're playing better against the team higher above the level they are, a team that Georgia played last year and got blew out by at 30-2 at one point. Kennesaw State's playing better right now. They've missed 2 free throws. If they would have hit these, that would have made it. That free throw right there would have made it 67-69. But this was embarrassing. This was the worst. This is Georgia's worst loss ever in the NCAA tournament. Georgia has not won an NCAA tournament game since 2002, 1996 officially. Just embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And St. Louis is good again. Credit to St. Louis. They did everything they needed to do. But this was embarrassing. This was the most embarrassing loss in Georgia basketball history. It wasn't like last year when you played an underseeded team and you were there for the first time in a long time. Georgia should have beat this team tonight, and what did Georgia do? They looked completely unprepared. We looked terrible. We looked like we didn't know how to play the game of basketball. That falls on coaching, ladies and gentlemen. That's not fan support. That's not NIL. That falls on coaching. Now we're going to have to go through this whole offseason with this because terrible. I mean, just completely, absolutely 100% terrible. Georgia deserved to lose tonight because Georgia didn't even want to be there. I mean, it was just a pathetic showing, and it's very disappointing because I know we were better than this. And that's the right word to use, disappointing. This was a very, very disappointing end to what was a terrific season for the Georgia basketball team. That's pretty much all I have to say. I mean, we'll talk more about it tomorrow. We'll do state of the program eventually, but oof, that might be a kill shot for Kennesaw State, but I mean, that's all I have to say about it. This was an embarrassment. Georgia just got completely embarrassed on national television, and it was completely unexcusable. Completely unexcusable. But yeah, so Georgia loses. Georgia is out of the NCAA tournament in round one again in back-to-back years. Georgia loses to St. Louis, and the final score like 102-73 or something like that. I don't have a stat sheet ahead of me right now, but Kennesaw State nope. Georgia gets completely embarrassed on national TV. That's all you could say. Just embarrassed. That was the most embarrassing game Georgia has played in a long time. It hurts. It hurts so bad, but I love this program, and I want to see it succeed more than anything, but that was not good. That was completely unacceptable. So we'll talk more about it tomorrow or later today as the hours go on. But Georgia gets completely embarrassed by St. Louis in the NCAA tournament. Go Hoop Dogs forever, but man, that hurts. That hurts really, really, really bad. So, yes, go Dogs, and we will talk to you again tomorrow.
Dogs do the improbable, the unthinkable, the unbelievable. They beat Arkansas and go wire to wire to win the SEC tournament.